AIM-listed Lexington Gold is a gold exploration and development company with projects in North and South Carolina. It's just recently expanded its operations as well to South Africa with the agreement to acquire 76% of White River's exploration in WitWatersRand, which historically has been one of the most prolific areas of gold mining in the world. Chief Executive of Lexington Gold is Bernard Olivier, and he joins us now on the line and on camera from Johannesburg. Bernard, it's great to be able to catch up with you again. I read that there's another more specific fact about WitWatersRand, and it's produced a third of the world's gold since 1886. Now, that's quite a property to acquire for such a small cap company. Before we get to the big question as to whether the area will continue to be as good a source of gold as it has been in the past, what is this deal and how good will it be for shareholders of Lexington Gold?
Well, firstly, thanks very much for the opportunity to discuss the project. I think the announcement is quite lengthy and perhaps complicated, so it's always good to try and dissect it a bit and explain it to investors and shareholders. So we are in the process of acquiring, as you said, White River Exploration, and White River Exploration has over the years put together a package of phenomenal assets in the WitWatersRand here in Johannesburg, where I am at the moment. And for us, it really is a very exceptional opportunity. There's not a lot of projects in the world, anywhere in the world really, where one can potentially acquire the amount of ounces of gold in the ground that is in these assets. There is an assessment independently done, but a non-JOR compliant assessment at this stage of roughly 37 million ounces, which is very difficult to achieve in a lot of other gold jurisdictions. But in South Africa, as you rightly mentioned, over 2 billion ounces of gold produced from this deposit before, and we are right in the heart of it.
76%. Explain more about the deal and how shareholders will benefit from this.
Well, it's primarily a shared-based transaction with the owner of White River Exploration, which is Mark Creasy. Mark Creasy is a very, very famous Australian entrepreneur and mining developer. And Mark Creasy has very successfully put together a tremendous package of assets in South Africa. And he was looking for ways to take this forward, either listing it or joining forces with a listed company with experience in South Africa, like we do. My chairman, for example, Ed Nealon, founded Aquarius Platinum. From scratch, he developed it into the 4th largest platinum mine in the world in South Africa. So therefore, basically, we have made an offer to Mark Creasy, which was accepted as part of the process. And we are still a few hurdles to cross, one of them being shareholder approval. But basically, that is then the transaction completed, and we can start to focus on unlocking value from these assets.
So does he become, like you, a shareholder on the register?
He definitely becomes our largest shareholder on the register post-transaction.
Okay, and what's the relationship going to be then going forward? Clearly, as you say, I mean, those in the know recognize the name instantly, and when you see the location you're in and his name, it's obviously going to start ringing some really important bells for those looking for investments in this particular sort of sector of the market. I mean, clearly it's an opportunity which you would never have said no to in any event. What do you say to shareholders about the outlook now from where we are? Is this by far and away the biggest project you've now got on your books? Because as I said at the top, you're in the Carolinas. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, because that's already doing well for the business.
I think the Carolinas, when we listed two and a half years ago as Lexington, we focused on the Carolinas. We've achieved what we wanted to achieve already, which is to take a sort of area with old historical mining and for the first time ever have JOR compliant resources that we've established on it. And we will still continue with developing the project. But when an opportunity like this comes along, to move us from where we are currently in the sort of 250 plus thousand ounces to into the millions of ounces, it is a big step change. And an opportunity to have Mark Creasy coming in with his experience and connections to become a large shareholder. And he's not taking any cash off the table here. It is a share transaction only. Mark Creasy has invested over £10 million of his own cash into this. And now is the time that he wants to see the uplift through a listed entity such as us. So it truly is a great opportunity for us.
Now, of course, you're a geologist. You've seen the numbers. You've obviously been satisfied yourself that it is an asset worth having. Just explain more about the data that you're getting and the proof that this area of the world, which, as I said in the past, has been so prolific in terms of gold production, that you're satisfied that this is going to at least be repeated, or at least your area of this particular part of the world will continue to deliver gold.
Well, Mark Creasy, through White River Exploration, has put together what is considered probably the biggest database of drilling information on the WitWatersRand. In the company, there's 2,500 drill hole data, basically individual holes, the database on it all. And these assessment of how many ounces there could be over the projects are not just sort of numbers that was grabbed out of the sky by Mark Creasy's company, by White River Exploration, but it is numbers based on this tremendous database of 2,500 individual mother holes. So it's a lot of data. We've started going, as part of our due diligence, of course, through all the data. And, we do believe, despite these numbers possibly sounding too good to be true, that there is a tremendous amount of gold left in South Africa. Also, there's a misconception that it's all extremely deep. The majority of these projects that Mark Creasy has developed and acquired, the gold starts at 250 to 300 meters. So it is not all that sort of 2,000 meter depth that people think is South African gold. Almost all our projects, except for the joint venture with Harmony, is between 250 meters and 1,000 meters. So truly, having the combination of shallow gold in a very well-known gold jurisdiction, share transaction with the likes of Mark Creasy is a fantastic opportunity for us.
Okay, it's obviously going to cost money to develop this and to move ahead with it. How are you going to pay for it? I guess having names like Creasy on the list and your geographical location makes it easier, I guess, for you to come to the market for money. What are the plans to raise money to get this project flying?
Well, you're absolutely right. We will raise money, as we did for the Carolinas, where we did it in a very sensible way. We don't dilute our shareholders any more than we need to unlock value. So, we are very responsible with how we go about, and we do it in a stepwise manner. If you look at what we achieved in the Carolinas, we achieved a JORC resource. We then grew that JORC resource. So it wasn't going out and spending a lot of money. It is raising just enough that is needed to unlock value, and then build on that success by another raise or other methods to bring in funding, which there are options. And of course, with the support of Mark Creasy there as well, because he's not just handing it over to us. He is an active shareholder going forward. He's got a board position, and everybody's vision is to grow this and to unlock value.
Yeah. So you're there in Johannesburg. You're close to the asset. What's happening at the moment? So what is the priority now for this to prove to shareholders you're serious about getting this gold out of the ground at a good and economic rate?
Well, the first step is now shareholder approval, which will be roughly in a month from now. We will have a shareholder meeting. Assuming that's all approved by shareholders, then it is to start focusing on converting these huge resources and the database into stepwise into JORC compliant resources. We also want to actively engage with Harmony and see how we can unlock, both parties together, unlock value out of that Jelani joint venture between Harmony and White River Exploration. There is a tremendous database, and I think that database needs to be dissected in great detail. And that is part of the process of how we convert some of these ounces into either JORC or code compliant ounces, for that matter, and then start to do studies regarding the extraction and how best to go about it.
Let me just spend a little bit of time before we take a look at the share price on what's happening in the Carolinas as well, because as I said, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that the company was initially built on this area of the world. With this exciting new development, one might see the Carolinas being kicked into the shadows a bit, but not so, huh?
It's not the case at all. It is just The two projects are quite different. The Carolinas, we have, through methodical a drilling campaign, we've proved up the resources, and we will continue to grow that. But of course, the South African projects are on another scale in terms of its ounces in the ground.
Yeah. Let me bring up a share price chart. You'll know the shape of this, and you'll be familiar with it. Currently trading at 7.9 pence. As I said, it's a name-listed stock. Where's it go from here? What's this pricing in? Because you can clearly see this far right-hand side of the chart with this peak going up almost to 9 pence fairly recently. I guess that was part of this deal, the White Rivers deal, and as you say, the names it brings into the company. What do you say to investors about where the share price is and what the prospects are? Because you're talking now millions of ounces, not not thousands of ounces of gold.
Absolutely right. I believe very firmly in gold in the first place. Secondly, acquiring these assets and with Mark Creasy as a supportive shareholder, I think there's a lot of upside to come in. And then looking at this tremendous database, as I said, it's considered to be probably the biggest in the WitWatersRand. The fact that the gold is shallow for South Africa and that there is a tremendous amount of ounces there, it just creates a fantastic opportunity for us to go through that process and convert them into JORC compliant resources and then taking it forward.
Yeah, look, I've got to ask this because I was talking recently to someone who's in the crypto space, and he was saying he was initially impressed as a young investor by the gold sector, but none of it now. He's moved on to digital because he believes that's where the future is. And if you want to hedge against currencies that have been devalued and inflation, you go crypto, you don't go gold. What is it about gold that really stirs, I suppose, the emotions in some people, clearly in you? Is gold here to stay? It's a historical point that I guess has already been made, but I think the people in crypto would say gold has had its day.
Well, my view is, I suppose, the opposite. I try and understand what is the value in crypto. Gold is a tangible asset. It has always been considered when the markets start to become unstable. Talk about the current situation with the dollar. Gold is the asset that a lot of people look to. And I mean, the gold standard for a long time was what put a value to a monetary currency. There's lots of talk again of different currencies wanting to look at how to almost link in with the gold and in a gold standard again. So I think as the markets and especially the currencies are becoming more and more jittery, people will start to look back at gold again. I'm surprised it's not higher than what it currently is, despite the recent good run. I think that there will be a return to people focusing on gold, making sure it is part of their asset base, not just gold companies, but physical gold as well. And I definitely think that we're going to see more and more countries looking to restock basically their gold reserves.
Yeah, look, Bernard, it's fascinating catching up with you. Thanks indeed for your time. It's a pleasure. And we look forward to hearing about the shareholder vote and the progress you make in South Africa. In the meantime, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Bernard Olivier, he's the Chief Executive of Lexington Gold.